Good morning, everybody. My name is Darlene, and I have Parkinson's. Today, I thought maybe we would talk about the importance of support systems or support groups. Everybody needs to be supported. Yes, we all have family, we all have friends. But sometimes you need a little bit more than that. And Parkinson patients, they tend to really need to have a little bit of support systems in place, simply because anxiety, depression, that can all be affected by your Parkinson's. And if you isolate yourself, then the symptoms are worse and everything else just gets worse. So you want to build yourself a system and people around you that are going to help you, going to advocate for you, maybe give you some ideas. So there's different types of groups that you can join and whatnot. Um, it I'm trying to think of how I can stress how important it really is to have that need fulfilled. There's so many different ways of doing that. It helps you cope with the daily reality of Parkinson's. Like, it can be overwhelming, just the daily things. And if you have somebody that you can talk to that understands that, you can perhaps swap stories. You can say, this is what helps me. You can share resources. You can say, I found this great book, or this speaker was wonderful, and you can find him in such and such in a place. And that becomes a very therapeutic way of handling it. You're not dwelling on the negative, you're thinking in terms of what can I do to help myself. Um, uh, oh, I've got something written down here, and of course I can't read my writing. Oh, right. I have said that it's very important for both the patient and the family to have that support system. If you've got people who are caring for you, it can be a huge job. As things progress along, it becomes more and more work for them. And nobody would want that for their loved one, to have to do that alone. Now, if they get a support system of other people who are also caregivers, they will find that that will help them greatly, just in being able to share frustrations and whatnot. If you're doing it all by yourself and you get frustrated, you will take it out on the person who has the disease, and they don't understand that they are doing that to you. Like, when you get Lewy body dementia or whatever, you won't remember that you would never have done that to your loved ones. Now, I mean, I have already apologized to my family for anything that I say when I do not know what I'm doing, because I don't want them to just remember that I did something terrible at the end. I don't want them to remember that. So therefore, I have apologized and said that will not be me. That will be this. So I want you to have support of other people that can tell you and let you vent those things, okay? So that's one of the things that I think is really important. There's a couple of ways of finding it. You can find a group online. If you don't want to go to a physical place where you have to go and sit and be amongst people, you can do it online. There's ways of doing it where you're seeing one another. There's ways of doing it where you're completely anonymous. You don't even have to put your name down. There's all kinds of different ways. Now, if you want to go in person, there's also groups. Some of them are like a large forum type group where you would go and you would listen to a speaker, and you don't really participate, you're just listening and getting information. And then there's small informal groups where you're maybe meeting in somebody's living room or a coffee shop, and you're just talking amongst people. If you don't even want to be in that group, they can set you up. If you go talk to people at the Parkinson's Society or whatnot, they can set you up with a buddy system where you're one-on-one with another patient, and they find somebody for you, or you find somebody that you really can relate to, and the two of you just develop a friendship, and you have a common thing that you're sharing, and that can be a wonderful support. It's also important to maintain friendships group activities that you have had. If you're really not, if you're really adverse to going and joining a group of some kind, then think about, if you used to go to church, maybe you could still go back to church and you could find people at church that you socialize with, or a group of friends that you used to go make ceramics with, and you could go and do that. Join a book club, something that just is fun for you. If if nothing else, look at this. Here's a YouTube channel talking about Parkinson's. Contact me, and we'll buddy up, and we'll share our stories. There is always somebody who is willing to talk to you, no matter when it is, or what you're needing to discuss. If they don't need to necessarily have any answers. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that I'll have any answers, because I don't. I don't have answers for myself. I'm looking for resources. But it's just helpful to have someone to chat with. I think that was sort of the things that I wanted to do. Yes, I think that, okay, I always make myself little notes, because I will forget what I'm wanting to say and whatnot. But I think that's what it is. I think I just want to say that it's really, really important. And I have tons of online friends. Like, I don't go out a lot of places. I don't know a lot of people here, because I don't do a lot of socializing. My husband socializes more with people here, but we had moved in here, and shortly after that there was the pandemic, and everybody stayed in their apartments. And other than the few social events that we had gone to prior to the pandemic, we have not been able to meet people, because we all have to stay indoors. So it's the online, I can't say it enough. It's important to do that. And I have some wonderful friends that I have made through YouTube, and you don't have to know them personally. You get to know them. It's like when you first meet somebody who's going to become your dear friend in person, you don't know them. You need to get to know them. And it's the same with online people. And yes, there are people who are nasty and all the rest of it, but you know what? The majority of people are so wonderful. And just take a risk, step out, and don't be silly about it. You don't give them your address and phone number right away, but you get to know them. And I think that that's very important. I also think it's very important to keep a sense of humor and tell a good, funny story every once in a while. I'm going to embarrass myself on this one. I told you all before I was married to Bill, I was married to somebody else. Well, occasionally that can get you in trouble when you're newly in a new relationship. You're used to saying one person's name, not another. You're used to what had happened in your life before that, and this is a new relationship. Well, that's what happened to me. We went out for lunch one day, and there was Bill and his mom and myself. His mother was a sweetheart. And we went out, and we were just chatting and having a good time, and somehow or other, skiing came into the conversation. And he said something about going skiing. And I looked at him, and I said to him, why would you even suggest going skiing? He looked at me puzzled and said, well, why wouldn't I? Like, he said, it's lots of fun. And I said to him, if you break your legs one more time, you're going to have nothing but pins in there. And he looked at me, and he looked at his mom, and he said, well, when did that happen to me? And then I realized it wasn't him that had all the pins in his legs. It was my first husband. And Bill's legs were just fine. His mother was looking at me like, oh dear, you've stepped in a muck now. I said to him, I said, oh, wrong husband. I tell you, things we do. Anyway, that's my story for today. Hope you all have a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow.